Hey everyone, it's James here at The Path of Mastery, and this is a channel where we help men find their purpose, their power, and their place through self-discipline and self-mastery. Welcome to today's video. I want to talk about intuition today. We all have intuition. We've all sensed our intuition at some point in our life. And maybe leave me a comment or a like if you've ever used intuition, if it's ever saved your life, if it's helped you in a situation or in a circumstance of some sort. It's a very powerful ability that we all have, yet we're very unaware of it, and we're even more so unaware of how to develop our intuition. Intuition has saved my life before. Intuition has revealed some really dark things, some betrayals, some hurts, some people turning against me. Intuition has helped me succeed in other areas, and it's even helped me in a college class one time. So there's lots of ways that intuition plays out in our life. The only problem is we're very bad at grasping it or questioning it, and I want to learn it better. I want to develop a greater sense of intuition in my life. Intuition is interesting because it's tied to our spirit. And of course, I believe that we're three beings in one. We're a spirit, a soul, which is our mind, will, and emotions, and we're physical body. And each part of us really has a key role to play. Our physical body is how we interact with the physical world. With it, we eat and breathe and touch and feel and interact with others in so many ways. But then we can also think, and we can reason, and we can have conversations in our minds, and we can feel emotions, powerful emotions, love, anger, jealousy, joy, peace, hate, all sorts of things in our mind, our will, and our emotions. And of course, the will is we choose what we want to do, and we'll do it. We have a free will. And then there's our spirit. This is the part of us that's the secret part that so many people, especially in Canada, where I am, in North America, the Western world, are so blind to spiritual realities that they write them off. They'll say it's mental health stuff, it's mumbo jumbo. Where now you can go to many third world countries, more religious countries, spiritual countries in Asia and India, the Middle East, Africa, South America, the native cultures around the world. Spirit is normal. It's very real. It's just as real as any of the other senses. And I think perhaps there's some programming in society in the West to help deter us from developing our spiritual awareness. The intuition plays into your spirit. I believe in God, the Father, the Son, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit. Of course, I'm a pastor. But intuition is for everybody because it's our spirit, our divine spark, trying to save us, to help us, to make our life a little bit easier. And if you're tied in with the Holy Spirit, man, you can magnify your level of intuition and your spiritual reality significantly. That's not going to be for all of you. Not everyone's going to believe the same way I believe. Whatever you choose to believe, know that you have a spirit and that you can develop your intuition. And so the definition of intuition, it's the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. So what does that mean? It's like you go into a room with a couple of people, maybe it's a restaurant, and something doesn't feel right. You're looking around and there's a couple people on a corner table. Something just doesn't feel right. There's something off. You don't know what it is, and you're like, man, I don't think we should stay here. And the person you're with, they're airy, they're not paying attention, they don't know what's happening. You're really feeling like, man, this is bad, like something's wrong, we gotta leave. And you end up leaving, you convince your friend to leave, you find out later, wow, those people robbed the place. And that was your intuition, that was your spirit giving you a warning of protection. Now, it might not always be that extreme, but my wife and I were in Vancouver on our way back from Cancun a couple weeks ago, and we were at a nice little brunch place. I believe it's called the Twisted Fork, and we're sitting there having brunch, and there's a couple across the way, and something about them didn't sit right with me. And average looking Caucasian couple, so I thought, but something seemed off, something was wrong. and we're eating our breakfast away, and all of a sudden a couple of sheriffs barge in and they arrest the woman. They said, "We found you from your post on Instagram, you're coming with us." Boom, they cuff her out of there, and that was it. And it was weird because it was almost like we expected something to happen. I just didn't know what it was. It wasn't a fear, there was just something off. That was a feeling. They didn't look like homeless or dangerous or anything. That was a small sense, and I probably wasn't even as in tune as I ought to have been. But there's times like that. So maybe you can leave a comment of a time where you used intuition in your life, where you had a sense of the Spirit was trying to send you a message, and it helped you, saved you, or warned you about something. There's a couple ways in the Christian world where intuition plays out. It's usually a knowing type of a thing, and so in the Christian world they'll have gifts for this type of knowing, and it's prophecy, a word of knowledge, or a word of wisdom. And so what that is, a word of wisdom, is when you just know how to solve a problem. You can't explain how you know how to solve this problem, you just do. Whether it's like a car's broken down, no one can figure it out, but you just have the sense, if I do this to that, it'll work, and it does. It could be a problem in someone's finances, life, relationship, how they need to approach a conversation. That's wisdom. That's intuition working at a higher level. Then there's a word of knowledge. This is where you just know something. Like you just know something about someone, about a situation, about something that's happened, and there's no way or reason you should know it. It's almost like a telepathy. You just know what's happening. And so this happens to me fairly regularly as I pastor my church and come across people. I'll be praying for them. I'll be praying for them in person or on my own, and I'll just have a knowing, this has happened in their life. We need to address it. And I could tell you some stories, but I don't know who's watching this, but I have called out some things in people's lives that they've done that were quite wrong, and no one else knew about it. They've hidden it for years, and it's come out because of intuition, working as this word of knowledge with like a direct download from the Spirit. And what it's done is it brought health to their life. It's helped them. They've been able to confront this thing they've been hiding forever and receive healing. And this has happened a few times. And that's usually the key in those instances. You have this knowledge to help someone or help yourself. Then there's a prophecy, and this can either be a future thing that comes out of you from the Spirit, and you can give a warning to someone, or a warning for yourself, or for a larger context. I mean, you can look back through history. The Bible's a great example of a bunch of prophecies that have come to pass. But you have other people that have given prophecies that, lo and behold, as strange as it sounds, they've said something, and everyone said, "You're crazy, that'll never happen," and it happens. So look up Edgar Casey. Look up some of these prophetic voices from years ago. You could do a quick YouTube on prophecies that have come to pass. You'll see it. It's strange, right? But it's not really that strange. It's because we have a Spirit. So it's possible to know things we ought not know. Intuition, what I want you men to develop in your life, and ladies if you're watching, is intuition when you're in an unknown place or a dangerous situation or walking or going for a hike in the forest, that you would learn to calm down your mind, slow down your thoughts, and feel with your heart. And it's not necessarily emotion, it's something deeper. So that if you're walking through a forest path and all of a sudden you just get a fear or a concern and you can't explain it, there's a couple things that could be happening. Could be that it's totally nothing and it's just in your imagination. That's one option, for sure it is. The other option is there could be a wild animal, a bear, a cougar, something like that, watching you, an elk nearby, a moose, something dangerous. There's just a danger, something saying there's danger here. There's going to be a rock slide. Something's going to happen. There's someone watching you, another person maybe. So you have to be in this state where you can sense and pick up warning signs. It's almost like a spidey sense, but it's real. Ask a mom about a mother's intuition about her kids. They know when something's up and something's off. They just know. But husbands, dads, men, this is something we need to develop to protect ourselves and our families. And so what I would recommend you do is you get alone, somewhere quiet, in the forest, in a park, and you just quiet your mind. And if you're a believing person, you say, Lord, I'd like to develop my ability to hear from the Spirit, or to develop intuition, that I could have a greater wisdom in this, especially when discerning danger. If you're not a believer, pretty much do the same thing. Just say to yourself, okay, what can I discern right now? What am I sensing with my intuition, with my spirit? And you just quiet yourself down. Really quiet yourself down. And just listen for an answer. Now ask a question. Ask something like, is there something I need to know right now? Is something about to happen? Is there anything I should be concerned about? And just be silent and just try to listen to kind of an inner voice. And you may get something, you may not. But the more you learn to quiet your mind down and just be present in that moment, you may begin to develop a spiritual sense of things. Okay, this is why Jesus often went alone to pray by himself, no distractions, so he could hear his Father clearly. Then he'd come down and he'd know. Then he picked his 12 disciples after that. He knew which 12 out of the hundreds that were following him were to be the 12, and he knew which were to be the 3. He knew which one would betray him. He got away quietly in prayer. He asked a question. He received an answer. It's the same for us. I was in class in economics years ago, probably 2003 or 4, macroeconomics, and our professor was late for class. It was a midterm. He's like 10 minutes late. A bunch of students are looking for him. They can't find him. They go to his office. They call his cell. He's not answering. Half an hour goes by. They're starting to panic because we only got an hour and a half or 2 hours for the class to write this exam. He's still not there. And I just said in my mind, and this is me, this is how I said, Holy Spirit, can you remind Professor Idians that it's time for class? And can you go get him? Like, it was kind of a weird request, but that's what I said in my mind. And clear as day, I heard in my inside, it wasn't an audible voice, it was just a knowing. It says, no, you go right now and get him. Like, it was like that. So I stood up and I said, okay, I'll just go. I went out the classroom, walked down the corridor. It was about 50 feet to the main hallway, which is like hundreds of feet long. I take a left, I look down this corridor. 300 feet away, I saw him cross the hallway for a split second. And so if I didn't leave at that moment, I got that intuition, I would never have seen him. And I believe in my heart that was God just saying, no, you go right now and find him. But that's how intuition plays out. It's really God speaking to your spirit speaking to you. I went down there, and he was in the copier room printing all our midterms. I said, Al, are you coming to class? And he says, yeah, I'll be there in 15 minutes. What's wrong? I said, class started an hour ago. And he said, oh crap. He handed me all the midterms. He said, run and hand these out to everyone. I'll be right there. That's a really odd type of intuition, to be honest, where I asked a question, it kind of put a demand on the Spirit. Can you go tell him to get to class? And I felt back, no, you go right now. And if I didn't leave in that instant that I left, I would never have seen him cross that hallway. And so it's strange, but these things take place. In time, I'll go into some more in-depth ones that are almost frightening. But for the sake of time in this video, ones that have been even painful. But intuition, I want you to develop. It's saved many hunters' lives from attacks from animals. My wife was driving up a road in the city that we live, and she just felt in her spirit, her intuition said, get into the next lane right now. She moved to the next lane, came around a bend, and 2 skateboarders were coming down a steep hill. She would have plowed them over and killed them. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to find a quiet place and say, I want to develop my intuition. Help me. God, help me. Spirit, help me. Quiet your mind. Try to put aside everything that you're worried about, all your concerns, and just listen. All right? And just say, is there anything I need to know right now? Is there anything about to happen? Anything I should be concerned about? I want to be aware of things that my spirit is trying to warn me about. And as you make a practice of quieting yourself down for like 10 or 15 minutes every day, eventually you're going to build up some strength here. So then when you're in a busy restaurant, when you're in a crowded room, an arena, and you're with your family, with your kids, with your wife, or you're driving in a sketchy neighborhood or walking, some people are behind you, and you just get this sense, whoa, something's wrong here. These guys are going to try to rob me, or they're going to try to steal my wife's purse, or do something. You'll have built it up so you can not just brush it off, but take the necessary steps to move out of the way, get out of harm's way, call for help, confront a situation before it rises up. This is on you. If you get out in the wilderness, if you get out in nature, and if you just make a decision to practice this, when you're in those situations, your spirit will speak to you because it always wants to protect you. It always wants to comfort you. It always wants to help you. Quit shutting it down by being on technology far too much. Get outside with your wife, with your kids, and especially by yourself, and start listening to your soul and your spirit. This will help you develop intuition, in my opinion. If you have any comments, any thoughts, any advice, let me know, because I'd love to try it. All right, guys? Cheers.